essentially, like, what got me into this hobby was I didn't buy the AirPods. I wanted the AirPod Pros, they just got announced, and I'm like, "Okay, I love music. I've been playing music since I was, I wanna say 3 years old, 7 years old." Like, I was young when I started playing music. So it's like, I want my music to sound good. So I was looking at the AirPod Pros as an option, and then, of course, the bit of tism in me or whatever. I had to research everything, and it's like, are they even good? Start researching, going into it. Came across Critical's channel, um, and then I was like, okay, what's the true wireless he recommends? And I got the Light Protect off his recommendation. Um, but then it just kind of, I got hooked, right? Like it was just like, oh, this sounds better than what I was used to, which was cheap dollar store earbuds or the Shure 215s or the cheap, musician ones you get that are not overly enjoyable to listen to for music. Um, so yeah, I got those Light Protects, got hooked, and I'm like, okay, let's look into some budget stuff. And then I bought a handful of budget IEMs, probably spent, I want to say $100 total when I like first started to just try different things. And then I was like, well, let's make a YouTube because if I can review, maybe I can like borrow or try other things that I wouldn't get. Like, I'm in Canada, middle of nowhere. There's nowhere I can try IEMs or headphones or, well, some headphones. But there's not a lot of a lot of opportunity to try stuff here. Um, so I was like, yeah, if I start reviewing and I start with super cheap sets that I buy myself, maybe it'll get me access to some stuff I actually want to try. Um, and then yeah, kept buying stuff. And then at some point, suppliers and stores or whatever just started reaching out. Hey, we saw your video. Can we borrow you this, lend you this, or can we send you this for free? And I'm like, oh, okay, like that's cool. Um, and then yeah, I got to the point where I was, yeah, I can, because after a while you kind of have a reputation in the hobby, like you're not someone who's going to steal people's IEMs. You're borrowing them and sending them back. It gets you access to even bigger and better things. Um, that's how I got to try my favorite IEM. Headphones.com was nice enough to lend me this IEM. I tried it and I'm like, oh, I love this. And I bought it with my own money, right? So it's, yeah, it's just kind of sent me on a whirl because the original AirPods came out and I'm like, oh, like I want something better. Fast forward to just recently, I bought the AirPod Pro 2s because I'm like, okay, I want to try the adaptive transparency mode and um, see what they're like. And they sound so good that honestly, I'd take them over not all my IEMs. Like I have a list of stuff I enjoy more than this, but it's close. Like these actually sound pretty dang good. So I'm kind of glad I didn't get these starting out, the AirPod Pro 2s, and they weren't out back then. Because if I did, I don't know if I would have even kept pursuing.
Oh, gosh darn it, that doesn't. I don't like hearing that. But I mean, I'm an Apple guy, unfortunately, so I know a lot of people don't like Apple products, but they work
Yeah.
and the things that they do really well, and you know, so I'm not surprised that they sound good.
I don't know about the original AirPod Pros or the any of the AirPods. I don't know about any of them. I haven't tried any of those, but I've only tried the AirPod Pro 2s, and I'm genuinely impressed with how good they were. So
Take me back to that very first video that you uploaded, and what was the reasoning for you to get that gumption up and do it, and what was the video about?
um oh geez. Um I don't even know what the very first video was. Well, like I took my like this was this channel, like the channel I'm using this on, it was a previous band's channel back in the day, so there was like a kind of whatever music video uploaded to it, but like it had no subscribers really, it wasn't doing anything, so I just put that unlisted and started. Um, but like the first couple of videos were like I had like a budget show off kind of thing that I was doing. That was one of them. I did one on just kind of like all my hobbies and like show people guitars or like my cameras, whatever I had laying around that was like my hobby stuff. So it's kind of like stuff like that. And then what got me to start reviewing headphones, um, or IEMs or whatever audio. Well, I guess more than that. I've reviewed a few other things. It's just like I don't know. Like I at the time, I didn't realize how big the space was. So I had my other channel that I was running for it seems like quite a while, and nothing was really happening with it. So I'm like, maybe I'll start a new channel and review IEMs. There's like nobody doing it, which there's a lot of people doing it. I had no idea. But I'm like, oh, there's like nobody doing this. I'll do this. Um, and then sure enough, then you get into the community, then you realize just how many IEM reviewers there are and how it's ever changing and it's crazy. Um, so yeah, like I got into it because I didn't realize how many people were into it. I thought it was kind of a fresh new space, and though I am very much I'm the noob, they're the veterans. um, and I watched Zeos when I first kind of started out. Um, and I still watch him as Zeos. He's entertaining. I find him entertaining. But I liked how he talked about things and like he was excited about it and he did it in one take. And so a lot of like how I approached it and filming and stuff was because I liked how Zeos was just off the cuff, says everything in one take. And like I like the professional videos too. I like the videos where people put a lot of time and effort into it. I get that as well, but I really just enjoyed the one take format of like, yeah, this feels like you're like a friend's just talking to me and it's a good time. So I kind of went with that and just kept with going with it. And I think part of it is making the videos I want to make or like I would want to watch. So being a little, ADHD, I don't want a super long video. So I try to get super to the point and keep things quick and concise. And Um, occasionally I go long, like when I really like a product, I start rambling because I love the product and I can't stop talking about how much I like it. But for the most part, if like a product comes in, even if it's good, maybe it's just not something I love. I try to keep the videos like under 10 minutes for sure.
So, but I kind of figured that you did have a music background because you were able to really get into detail and do it in a way that, like you said, you're doing it in one take usually, and so yeah,
Oh,
that,
I make mistakes and sometimes I just pin it to a comment because I don't want to retake the film or refilm it. But like I don't know what I'm talking about half the times. Like it maybe comes off as me being confident or whatever, but like, yeah, I don't really like. I'm not one that talks about like, oh yeah, this is the sound stage or the detail. Like, I'm not super. I don't use those words like super subjective words usually because um I don't know. It's a different experience because like I was a guitar player. I tone chased and you go for different pedals, different tonalities and distortion profiles and whatever. Um, and so like I kind of understand music in a I don't know listening sense, but like I really don't. I'm not one like I struggle to put it into words when it's like, oh yeah, the like people say this is a super detailed set, and like I'm not always sure what they mean by that. Like I'm like, what to explain detail? Like what's detail to you? And like detail to me is going to be different. So I try to refrain from using words that could be misinterpreted when possible. But sometimes it can't be. Like sometimes you put in an IM, it's like, yeah, this sounds spacious to me. I have no other way to explain it. This particular tuning, this particular IM, some reason sounds a little more spacious, and it's like it's just like a subjective experience. But I do my best to kind of keep it to like yeah, and like talk about the frequency and talk about the experience without being too hard to understand.
have you ever felt like you needed to start editing, or you just knew right away this was the best way to do it, and it was the most efficient?
There's a couple times where I debated, do I actually put some effort in? Because I have a couple videos on the channel that I put effort in. I put myself in front of the camera. I made it look pretty. Um, and like, yeah, they got more views, they got more attention. But like the thing for me is like, if the only way I'm gonna keep doing it is if it's fun and like putting in a ton of work when I already work a full day, sometimes, over 8 hours, and I'm tired. Putting in a ton more work after that, like I wouldn't be able to keep up, and I would get burnt out really quick. So sometimes I have to do a retake. Like I'll start the video and I'll like if it's within the first like minute or two of like the video and I start stumbling or whatever, I just okay, start over and I'll start from the beginning. But for the most part, I wanted to have the minimal amount of editing possible. Like I'll throw the graph on the screen, I'll do a couple things, but like I really didn't want to sit there and like put a ton of work in. And that for me has made it so it can be a little more like prolific per se. Like I can keep getting reviews or videos out without, having a huge backlog. Like sometimes I get a little overwhelmed. I get some reason it seems like everything comes at once and then it's dead. And then everything comes and it's like dead. But yeah, it's a lot easier to keep up when I keep it to one take, um, and just try to I don't know, keep it loose and informal. Occasionally, I will jump in and I'll do a cut. I do my best to hide it. So, like, I'll, like, put a picture over the screen and then make a cut, and then, like, I'll fade the volumes and do all the things to try to make it seem like it wasn't a cut. Like, I'll do my best. And occasionally you might be able to tell. Like, if you go through the 1 or 2 videos and you're like, "Oh, he jump cut there, like, something happened there. I saw his hand here, the graph was up, and the next thing, his hand was over here." Um, and that's usually because I say something off the cuff that will get me in trouble. Like, I just know, like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that," and so I'll edit those things out because, like, it'll give either the person on the other side looking to buy this headphone the wrong impression, or it will, bring bad attention my way from whoever or whatever because I may have, like, referenced something in particular, so I do my best to not have drama and not, you know, have any problems, so I will cut things out on occasion, usually because I say something off the cuff that could be misinterpreted, but it's very seldom. I do my best to stay one take.
No, I do. I definitely appreciate that because that's kind of a reason why I don't necessarily do live is because I will even though people in my space with the dogs interviews they like the lives, they like that energy. I just felt like I feel like I'll do that every once in a while, but I won't do it with like a scheduled guest or anything like that. But it could get a little dicey, because I don't want them to embarrass themselves, and I don't want to embarrass myself.
Yeah,
Because when you're dealing with a hobby or a passion, sometimes there are risks and there's inner politics that we don't want to get involved in, and so
yeah,
and I am a confrontational person, but I try not to show that on my content as much as possible. The kind of work I've done my whole working career is has led to me being more of a confrontational person than even probably. Well, I'll take that back. I was pretty confrontational as a kid, but I do have to be a little assertive at work at times, and so um, I don't want to bring that into this. And so, yeah, I know I completely appreciate, even if you did, I would never judge you, but I could see where you have your own. Do you, is it because you kind of feel like you have your own style and you don't want to disrupt that style? Is that why you don't, you try to hide those jump cuts?
exactly, um, because, because my whole the idea for how I do my reviews is for it to be like a friend telling you about something they got in the mail that they're excited about. Um, I want it to come across as, just a hey, I call my buddy up and go, "Hey, dude, I got this, new IEM in the mail, it's so cool, it has an extra DD, it has a planar driver, whatever." And I try to just have that feel, and, I feel like when you see a lot of jump cuts, for me anyways, when I'm watching YouTube videos, it completely takes me out of the video sometimes. That's why I don't use mid-roll ads. I if there's mid-roll ads, it's I didn't do it. I didn't select it. I don't like mid-roll ads. It takes me out of the video. I don't care about the money. I'd rather the end user watch my video and get the feel that I want them to, the vibe that I was trying to portray, which is this is one take. I don't want to take you out of it. I don't want to have to oh, but let's cut to some B-roll, because it to me that oftentimes, I don't know, maybe it's because I scroll too much TikTok, or not. I don't really watch TikTok, but YouTube Shorts or whatever. And anytime it goes to something else, it kind of changes my attention, and have I don't find I'm paying attention at that point. I struggle to retain attention when things jump around a lot. Um, so I do my best to, yeah, keep it fluid as possible. So when I do cut things out, I'll cut it at a breath, and I'll cut it out of breath, and I'll make it so that you only hear one breath, and it's I'm talking, I'm talking, I'm talking, the cut, and then I start talking again. So it's natural and sounds like it's still one dialect. But in reality, I cut out a minute and a half of me ranting about something I really shouldn't have been ranting about. Yeah, there's some who put a lot of effort into the videos that I love to watch their videos. Like Resolve, anytime he posts on the headphones show, I love watching his videos because he's a super knowledgeable guy and I learn a lot from him. But yeah, oftentimes it's just honestly, half the time I'm not watching YouTube. I'm listening to YouTube. I'm listening to it, putting my phone on the table while I'm making dinner. So I throw someone's video on it. When I throw someone's video on, I want it to be able to just be listened to, which is kind of what I try to do too, right? I don't want to have to, oh, look at the screen to see this and look at the screen to see that, because, um, yeah, it's not always viable. Most of my YouTube consumption is done with me not actually watching. I'm listening to what they have to say.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, and that's kind of maybe why I've so resonated with yours is because a lot of times I'm watching the reviews at work,
Yeah,
and I can't keep an eye on the screen, and so yeah, if people get too heavily into the graphs and in the inner working, the weeds of inner baseball of a subject, I kind of gloss over, and so I do like that what you do, and even like you said, Zeos. I know there's people may not like it because it's not as technical as somebody maybe on the headphone show or whatever, but it keeps you engaged and you kind of get the vibe of who you're listening to, and you get what they're saying, and so that's what I get out of it. If I'm interested in an IM and not just the review, or interested in what this person has to say about that particular item, if I'm interested as a consumer, I'll listen to 3 or 4 reviews,
yeah,
so, but as a kind of a fan of the IM review genre is, a lot of times I'm just living vicariously. So I kind of like to hear the different, what somebody says about this one, and then what somebody says about, just to see, the little differences is, and you kind of, then you garnish the person's style, listening preferences a little bit better too as a consumer. So, if I'm listening to HBB, I kind of like, okay, I kind of know where he's coming from. If I listen to you, I kind of know where you're coming from, and Zeos and all the others, right? Um, so yeah,
yeah. Because HBB does the one take thing too. I like the one take format. There's a few people who do it, and it's I don't know. It makes it easy to put on, put the phone in your pocket, and continue working or doing whatever you're doing, right? So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and one of the things that I've always wanted to understand is and I really appreciate that because you kind of have to walk that line. You know, the in a way that you this even though like you and I, we both have full time careers, and we put on we punch a time clock like the rest of the average Joes in the world. But at the same time, this is kind of a business in a sense, even if it may not be a complete monetarily driven thing. You do kind of have to run it as a business, especially in your case. Because you're dealing with corporations and you're getting product. How do you deal with when, say, an IM and a company isn't living up to that standard, or what you think is quality? How do you maneuver that without p- pissing people off? Because
I still struggle with that.
I appreciate that because I get it. I get that you can't just say, like, if you and I were on a phone call, God damn, that thing sucked. You wouldn't believe what judge, and that stupid jerk, that sent it to me. You know what I mean? You can't talk like that. So,
Yeah, running my
so
mouth has gotten me in trouble a little bit in the beginning, because
yeah. Talk a
so
little bit about that. Yeah, talk about the first couple mistakes that you made on that because I have too.
yeah, like in the beginning, I made some mistakes of like, um, well, I don't know, like I've what are two IEMs come to mind. One is like but I forget what the one is even called, but the aria, the Moondrop aria. It's a beloved IEM by many people in the hobby, but I tried it and I was so underwhelmed that I just completely trashed it. I'm like, This is not as good as I thought it was going to be." Like everyone was like $80. It sounds like 500. It sounds so good, and I'm like, okay, and I was like, I think I like my $20 IEM better, actually. Like, yeah. So, yeah, like, and luckily that was one I got with my like own money. I traded a friend or something in nearby because they were kind of into the hobby, so I think I paid him a small amount of money, so I got it for a good price. But yeah, when it comes to like businesses and stores sending you product to review, it's like, okay, luckily, with a lot of these products, they are good. Like, and whenever a good product comes in, I'm like, oh, because it's like I don't have to like uh, kind of tongue in cheek. But occasionally, yeah, you get something. It's like, okay, this is uh, um. Sometimes I like the product, and I know it's not going to be for everyone. It's like, okay, I personally will listen to this type of music on this headphone because I think it's great. It's a good time for that. But like I really hate it for everything else. And like I'll just outright say that because it's kind of giving, the bitter and the sweet together. It's like, yeah, I have some criticisms, and they're valid criticisms. This thing doesn't sound amazing for a lot of my music, but I also have some praise because it sounds really good for some of my music. Those are kind of a little easier to stomach and easier to put out. But when it's something that's truly just a bad product, it's really hard because like, yeah, you have to basically say like, this is the product, and those videos are usually pretty short for me. It's like, here's the build. Sometimes I'm not ecstatic about the build. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Here's the frequency response graph. It kind of sounds like this. It's not really my thing. It might be for you though. So, and that's kind of how I end it because it's like, you know what? Everybody here is different. Some people are going to love it, and then if they do, good. I want them to find joy in the things that they try and buy and listen to. But for me personally, that's something I only recently kind of started doing. In the beginning, I did not do that. In the beginning, I was like, no, this is objectively bad. This is horrible. But that's not the truth for everybody. So I had to learn over time that it's like, okay, position it in a way that this is not my thing. This might be your thing. Here's the product. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I don't feel excited about this product kind of thing. Um, and so, and then I've said that in a few of my videos. It's usually the longer videos where it's like I the products I like the most tend to get a longer video, and the products I don't love will tend to get a shorter video. And you can usually tell how much I enjoy a product just by looking at the video timestamp. It's like, oh, this one's a 3 minute video. It's probably not that good. Or like, oh, hey, this is a 10, 11, 12 minute video. This is probably one of the better ones he likes. So usually how it goes. Not always, but usually.
And I've always kind of looked at the review genre as people sharing their passion as much as their and their personal experience with that product more than saying, hey, you should buy this or you have to buy this sort of thing. So I've never looked at it that way. And I think there might be other people out there and other genres or whatever who maybe have skirted that line, but I've never gotten that vibe from most people in this particular realm. Hey, this is my preference. This is what I like to listen to. This is why I like it. This is why maybe I'm not a big fan of it. That sort of thing. So, I never, I've never gotten I never feel a negative way when I do hear somebody say, "It wasn't for me." You know what I mean? I kind of think, well, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I mean, I think that people kind of lose the fact that hey, this is me sharing my experiences, and there's nothing else to be read in between that.
Yeah. And like, yeah, essentially that. Like everybody has their preferences and um like there's some IEMs that I have that I still enjoy. They're not perfectly to my preference, but I still enjoy them and I listen to them like once a week or once every 2 weeks. But like I'm pretty consistent in my preferences in the sense that I have an open back, a closed back, an IEM, and a speaker set that I listen to, and those are the things that I almost always listen to unless I'm reviewing because those are the things. Those are they're basically exactly to my preference. Um, because I have to use EQ for 3 out of 4 of those. But the Meteor, it doesn't need EQ. It's basically exactly my preference. I haven't tried anything better for me. Um, so it's like, and that's on a list. I have a list. People can go look at it if they want. Where it's like these are the things that I actually use. I own these and I use these on a semi-regular day basis. And like here's all the things that I don't own and or I don't use. Like some of the things I own and they just sit in this drawer system here with I think the last time I counted there was 60 IEMs in there. Um and yeah, like I listen to only the ones on the top. So it's like the rest of them are for comparison for reviews like cuz yeah, like the Sim got EM6L. It's not one that I will listen to every day. I don't think it's not really my preference. It's good, but I keep it around because it's good. And if I get an IEM that's similar, people are going to want to know what those compare like. So I better keep it on hand so that like right. And if an IEM is not good enough for me to keep around and compare, if it's not a staple enough, then I usually just give those to friends. Like I, everybody I know around me, like coworkers, when I went to school for whatever, like everybody, they just get IEMs. So it's like sometimes, yeah, they're not we're like, yeah, I don't know. I don't always feel like good selling things. Like I'm not a salesman. Like, and you might catch that in my videos. I'm not really salesy. Um, I would rather just give things to people and have them enjoy it because I don't know. So yeah,
Yeah, that's the tough spot that I could see with like even with myself. How do you balance the time and that you put in and and the effort and uh, then the monetary side of it? Because for me, I don't earn a lot from my main podcast, but what I do earn, I cherish, and
Yeah.
it keeps me semi motivated, and it also makes me feel like I want to try harder to provide a quality product, basically to maybe potentially earn more, but at the same time, like you, I haven't figured out that balance yet, how I can maximize it, but still not lose any kind of, I guess, integrity, if that's the right word. I don't know, but so how do you balance that? Because you know you do need to be compensated for your time, and the older I get, the more I realize that.
Yeah, I mean, I learned this with photography, because I love photography. It's a passion of mine. It's one of my hobbies, one of my many, many hobbies. I mean, I only probably have 5 hobbies, but the hobbies I'm into, I'm really into. So, I love photography, but I learned really quick that I hated taking clients. Um, I there are some clients I loved, like, don't get me wrong. I had some musician clients for, like, album art or, like, I had a studio, uh, hire me to get some stuff with their artists or whatever. Amazing clients. I will do them again, absolutely. But when it came to, like, family photos and whatever, I learned really quick. I don't like taking money for something I love. Like, I would rather keep the thing I love, and not worry about it, and I'll work a day job, right? So I gave up on not necessarily gave up on. I still do photography and video for people, and I get paid on occasion, but I don't that's not my main income because I don't want it to be. It's kind of similar with audio in the sense that I it would be nice to, like, be compensated more because then I could buy the things I actually want to buy. Um, like I did just recently buy myself some like good speakers or good speakers. Um, and essentially was a conversation of over the last 2 years, I've made basically just enough in order to buy these speakers. So I told my wife, like, hey, look, on YouTube, this is how much money I brought in over 2 years. Can I buy these speakers with this money? So it took, yeah, 2 years to save up basically $600 to buy these speakers that I wanted on sale. Um, and like that was a great experience. It's like, hey, like I actually made enough money off making YouTube videos to buy something I actually really wanted to buy. Um, but that said, like, yeah, like YouTube only brings in 30, $40 a month kind of thing. Like for me, I don't make a lot on YouTube. Um, I got some Patreons, which they're super awesome. They just subscribe to me, and uh, it kind of helps pitch in too. Because like, yeah, like sometimes you do have to buy stuff to review. Like you can't just get everything handed to you or borrow everything. So and like or tools like that people wanted to know nozzle sizes. So I bought a caliper so I could measure nozzle sizes because not because I wanted to measure nozzle sizes, didn't matter to me, but people wanted to know that information. So I went out and spent the money I got from Patreon, YouTube to buy a caliper, right? So there are costs sometimes, like measurement rig or caliper or whatever. Um, but now it is. It. I think I've gotten to the point where it's starting to even out. It was costing me more than I was making, but like it's starting to even out because I don't buy as much. Um, but it's a tough balance. Like I don't. It's not sustainable really unless you're doing like what these big channels are doing, and good for them. Um, what I actually really like headphones.com's business model because the reviewers get paid no matter what, no matter how the video does it. It's just a store paying their employees basically. Um, so like that's cool. I think that's sustainable. That's awesome, and that makes it a valid career choice. Uh, but like, yeah, for me personally, it's like I just don't count on it to be a breadwinner. I just I can't, and when I do make money off of it, I save it up and I buy myself one nice thing every year or two, right? Honestly, I got into the whole review thing because, yeah, I just wanted to try more stuff. So, like, that is payment for me. Like, I end up paying a lot of shipping, borrowing people's stuff. But, yeah, because that adds up quick. It's like 25 bucks every time you have to ship things back in or out, or if, like, I ask to borrow something, I'm shipping it both ways. So it's like, it does get expensive, actually. Maybe I'm not making more than I'm spending, um, but the payment in it for me is like once in a while you get a set that you're like, it comes in and it's like, man, this is actually amazing, and like I love this product. I want this product, and I get to keep it. That's that's amazing. So like it it's like you get a lot of like meh, but the one or two times I do get like a awesome thing in, it kind of makes everything worth it. Um, I don't know. Like I just get super excited when something really great comes in.
The passion for music start for you, and what kind of music did it evolve into when you started playing instruments?
Yeah. So like my mom put me into piano lessons when I was like 3 years old. And I didn't like I wasn't in for long. I just did piano from like 3 to 7 or something like that. I don't know. Um, and like I didn't love it back then. Like I was being forced to play music. I'm like, oh, go to your piano lessons. But I'm so thankful my mom put me in piano lessons. I'm going to do the exact same thing to my kids if I ever have them, because it teaches your brain how to think in like pattern, and if you do it young, it kind of just sticks with you. So when I became roughly, I don't know, it was like I want to say 14, I picked up the guitar because I'm like, oh yeah, I want to get into the guitar, um, and started playing. And because I learned the Suzuki method on piano, I learned how to play things by ear. So you'd listen to a song and then you play the song, and you'd have to hammer that out. It made it kind of transferable to almost like any instrument. So I'd pick up the guitar and I'd be like, yeah. And I was playing classical music in class, band class too. So I was doing clarinet, saxophone, percussion in band class. But it wasn't a passion until I picked up the guitar, and I just loved it. It was, I don't know, I really enjoyed playing guitar. Um, there's just something to it, and I started singing, and I don't know, like I'm not the best singer, but I enjoy it. And essentially, like it was around that time that my cousin got into a like they got into a car accident. My uncle and my cousin were in the car together. They hit a moose, and the moose pierced my cousin's chest, and he passed away. Um, that experience dealing with that, I guess I don't know what you trauma or whatever. Music's what got me through it. I wrote my first song when I was like 16. It was like a year or two after that incident, and it was a ballad, basically, like singing to my cousin, like, "Hey, I miss you." Um, and so yeah, music became a passion because it got me through some of the darkest times of my life. And then my best friend to this day, um, like we met around the same time that all this was happening, and he started playing guitar. We were playing together. We started playing music in bands together. So it gave me music gave me a best friend that was with me that whole dark time in my life. It gave me like a creative outlet to get all that out, because like it wasn't just my cousin. It was we had a dark run that couple years. It was like person after person after person. Our family just kept dying. There was like 2 year, 3 year period or whatever. So yeah, music, it did a lot for me when I was a teenager. Um, and then yeah, it just kind of kept being that, until one day I did eventually kind of get burnt out because I was playing live a lot. And I was playing like it was like basically once a week I was playing live, and I was just playing the same songs over and over and over again. I'm like, oh, I need a break. So I stopped playing music live, but in that time I started like just really getting into like listening to music and wanting to get good quality sound. And so it kind of was just it transferred from creating and writing and playing music, which I still do just for my own self. I don't put it out there anymore. But it turned that into like I look for music that kind of sparks that feeling. I don't know. Like I get it anytime I hear like John Mayer play guitar, and it's like oh, that this is amazing. Like this has to be what heaven sounds like. Um, and that's I'm still passionate about it. Like music gets me out. Like listening to music got me out of a lot of stuff too. Like I can recall in my teenage years where I was struggling with like heavy depression, like listening to these this particular song by Lights that always calmed me down, you know? So it's like music is it's important and it's always been a thing in my life. It's always kind of been there for me. Um, and I'm just passionate about it, making it, playing it, listening to it. And that yeah, that's what got me that's probably what kept me into the hobby is that yeah, like I I respect music so much. I want to get the most I can out of it and that, you know.
But ever since I picked up the IEMs and really started listening for good sound instead of just randomly putting some headphones in and just listening, my preferences have changed big time.
Yeah.
I'm listening to more instrumentals and things of that nature. Is that something that you've noticed?
Yeah, I definitely noticed that in myself. Like I didn't have horrible taste as a teenager and a young adult. Wasn't horrible taste, but there's some music that like once I discovered lossless and I kind of was like, oh, that's a sound bump. And then when I discovered like, you know, like different IEMs and stuff, and I got to a point, it's really hard to listen to some of that music I used to listen to because it's recorded so poorly. Like it's just like it's like overcompressed, distorted. Like I'm like, man, this was such a good song when I was listening to it in the car on my way to work that day. But like, you listen to it with these headphones, and all I can hear is that they peak the track the whole time, and like I'm getting this distortion the whole way through. Ew. So it definitely changed my taste in music in the sense of like, there's some recordings I just can't listen to, especially with IEMs, because they're so revealing. Like speakers, I can get away with more, like because like stereo, you got room reflections, all this stuff going on. Like you can get away with a little bit more with speakers, and that's why I love speakers. But like IEMs, it's like they're unforgiving. Like bad recorded music is bad. So it kind of pushed me into I started listening to older and older music. I mean, this isn't going to be old for a lot of people, but like I started like I used to listen to like pop punk and like very kind of poppy rock, and then when I start getting into audio quality, now I'm listening to like Audio Slave or like the Trues or like older rock because it's like, oh, this is uncompressed. Like, oh, like that's how a cymbal is supposed to decay. Like that's how guitars are supposed to sound. Like this sounds so much better. Um, maybe when I was listening to it on Beats headphones, it sounded good, that old stuff. But like, yeah, it changed my music taste in the sense that like, yeah, I'm very picky about recording quality. Like in a ways I was never picky as an artist when I was making things. When we were making music, it was like, oh yeah, we'll proof it on the phone. Yeah, phone speaker sounds good. Okay, send it off. Whereas like as a consumer now, I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot stand phone speakers.
Yeah, no doubt. Me either. Yeah, it's just something interesting, um, and then I'll listen to well, just like the AirPods. Like I said, I'm like, oh god, I'm sounding like I'm underwater, or listen the stock speakers in my truck, and I'm like, turn it down. I'll
Yeah.
plug in my IEM and my phone, and then I'll with my little DAC amp, and I'd prefer to listen to that. But
People get on me all the time for listening to IEMs while driving, but it's not against the law where I am, so it's perfectly legal. And yeah, it's I don't know, makes sense to me. like like the road noise, everything going on, like the speak you can't get the speakers to sound good with all that. Like,
No, no, no. Yeah, and like I said, I sometimes I'll get frustrated if like I'm picking a style of music and around Spotify or YouTube or something, and I'm really want to vibe with the music, and then somebody starts singing, and I'm like, ah, shit. I just want to listen to the music.
yeah.
So that's definitely something that's completely changed. Because I was a big lyrics guy. I
Mm,
thought if you didn't have good lyrics and if it didn't resonate, I thought you were junk. And even if your music was crazy, like I grew up listening to a lot of East Coast hardcore and stuff like that. So I mean, um, sound wasn't good. Sound wasn't really a preference. It was all about
yeah.
energy. But yeah, so that's a cool thing that you talk about. The sound quality and the recording quality is a big thing for you, because I could see that being a big thing too. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it,
like,
and
I
it
even like country radio, because I listen to all genres and I love country too, but, people get no I don't know why people hate country. It's great.
I love
But,
country. I grew up with it.
yeah, but some of the new country, I was listening to it with IEM, so I'm like, "Oh, man, I can hear the auto-tune." Like, they aren't doing it in a T-Pain way, like, it's not an effect way, but, like, I can hear the pitch correction because I did recordings and I know what pitch correction sounds like, and it's just like, it it maybe I'm at the point where I'm getting old and I'm just like, there is no new good music. Like, there is, but, like, it's hyperbole, but yeah, like, sometimes it feels that way. New music comes out, I'm like, "Man, there's no new good music. It all sucks now." I find myself more and more looking into the past because, like, there's so much music I missed, just, like, being not open-minded as a teenager that come like, now as an adult, like, I've I don't know how, but, like, I'm more open-minded now than I was back then, and now I'll listen to whatever. And, like, yeah, I'm just going back in time and listening to, like, old rock and old country and old, even, like, yeah, Eric Clapton, like, I never gave Eric Clapton the time of day. He's incredible, right? Like, how could you not? So, um, like, that's cool. It's like because there's such a repertoire, like such a history in music, like there's always something to find. It's just where are you looking, right? Like, yeah, when I look for new stuff, I don't know. Like sometimes you get some good stuff, but I don't always find my gems. But when I look back in time, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of good gems back here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. I feel the same way. Like, yeah, like I hated grunge growing up, and coming from Portland, it was just all over, right? So,
Yep.
and but the older I've gotten, the more that I can see, like, oh, yeah, yeah, I do like Pearl Jam and bands like that, and Allison in Chains, and there's a lot of validity to that music, and I can definitely vibe with it now compared to what I was when I was younger. we
No,
we had
absolutely.
some negative feelings about those guys. We would not be nice to them, but now I'm like, man, your music's good. So
I remember my drummer, like, because we were in a pop punk band, and the drummer in this band just he was a Rush fanatic. He loved Rush and like Pearl Jam and like stuff like he loves all the music that I'm listening to now, which is funny. Like, because back then I hated it and I would always make fun of him for it. But like, yeah, here I am, and I'm like, oh, you know what? He was right.
what about what age range are you in now?
I'm in my 30s now.
Yeah.
Uh, 30, 31, I think.
Yeah, yeah, that was about when everything started changing for me, listening and just having a different outlook. Yeah, about 29, 30, 31 for sure. So yeah, you're in for Next thing you know, you're going to be listening to Simon and Garfunkel and tearing up.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that this weekend. Um, the yeah, I noticed that 28 something happened with my brain. It it was like night and day, and like I didn't even know how to deal with it. Like it was, I honestly don't even know how to explain it. But like something happened in my brain where at 28 things just changed, and I became more adult. you know, but it's crazy to think that yeah, before then, yeah, I was pretty immature. And I still am sometimes, oftentimes, but like I recall, yeah, 28 felt like things changed, things are changing, and they seem to be progressing in that same kind of direction since then. So
For sure. Yep. Yeah, that's life for sure. How do you think, like, you talk about your hobby of video and photography. How do you think that is correlated with your channel? I know you say that you want to keep it straightforward and simple in some ways, but do you think getting to that level, you still have to have some sort of visual and audio ability to create kind of that atmosphere at the same time? Because to me, there's there could be an artistic value in the simplicity of things. Do you see that as well?
yeah, I mean, made some mistakes recently on YouTube where I wasn't uploading in 4K, but so picture quality wasn't that great on my channel for a long time. But audio, like because I'm into video and stuff like just for fun. Yeah, like it taught me like mic placement and editing videos and editing audio. Well, I was editing audio when I was playing music too, but um, yeah, like my videos, they're simple, and I make them so like I'm not doing a ton of editing, but at the same time, I am polishing up the audio. I am, grading the color a little bit and trying to make it like I want to make it look nice still. So like I use a good camera, I use a good mic, and it's not the best lens that I'm using because like I have better lenses, but the way I do my reviews and everything is like I have it all preset up where I'm sitting right now. Like I don't know. So it's like it's all preset up. So all I have to do is sit down, pull out the product, hit play or hit record, and go. Um, So like that was important for me. Like if I don't have everything already set up and ready to go there, I could just hit record. I don't know if I'd ever get reviews done, to be honest. It the getting started part is the hardest part. And then once you get started, you get going, right? Um so yeah, like video, it has helped me a lot, like in the sense that like my audio quality is pretty decent. My picture quality is pretty decent. Everything could be better. I could put more effort into it. I absolutely could. Um, but there's that whole, is the rewards going to outweigh the amount of effort? Maybe I get more views, more subscribers because it comes off as more professional if I, was showing my face more and using um like using editing in a way that, you know, made it more palatable to the average person. Yeah, I probably could further the channel more by doing that, but would it make it, I don't know, like I don't know if that would the pros would outweigh the cons, making it easy where I just hit play, take this SD card out, load it up, throw a quick couple slides over top of the video. I even made a preset because the mic's always in the exact same place. I just click and drag a preset that I made edited, and I can edit my audio in 2 seconds, right? So it's um, having everything set up ready to go in the exact same placement makes it so I can get videos done in 4 hours, recording to exporting and testing and all that stuff. So it makes it viable because if I had to drag a video out over multiple days, again, it's never going to get done. I'm too ADD, ADHD for that, right? Like it's not going to get done. It has to be able to get done on like Tuesdays or Thursdays when I know I have the evening to myself, house to myself, hit record, get it done, edit it, export it, good, upload it, done, 4 hours. Um, Sometimes less, sometimes more, but yeah, yeah, I would love to put more effort into sometimes I do. Like I do have some videos where I put more effort in. But for general reviews, I don't know if it's something I want to do.
I know that I'm gonna to come on to Hobby Talk, and I know what I'm gonna see. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I like as a consumer of your content. I like that. I don't you know I don't necessarily need I don't need the fluff and all of that and if it looks good and sounds good that you know that's all I need. But I get these sometimes the YouTube algorithm. Who knows what that is, and who knows what other the TikTok or YouTube Shorts crowd likes.
Yeah,
That's the real hard part here with YouTube. I think is even since I've been on things have changed a lot due to Shorts.
yeah, and then like I don't know. It's when I got started. Um, I think like I know people have their whatever with everybody, like whatever, but with Zeos, I saw that someone could film and talk and not show their face and still do well on YouTube. And that was an inspiration for me. Like when I saw that, I didn't even know that was possible, to be completely honest. I thought YouTube, you had to be a talking head. So, um, yeah, I don't know how much it's necessary to grow faster or to do better, but I know it's been suggested to me by a couple of YouTube gurus who have grown really fast. That yeah, I should start showing my face. I should start scripting my videos. I should start being more professional about it. But again, like I'm told time and time again by these people that it would be night and day, and things would grow. But I don't know. It's not my vision.
There's a lot I could say there, and this is partly why I like to not do it live. Yeah, I find that there is your personality and who you are as a person is kind of what your channel is about, and sometimes, you know, we got to weigh that when we're creating content, and I've seen people who've got into the dog podcast realm that I've actually they've used some of the same styles and interviewed some of the same people that I've
Oh
interviewed,
yeah,
and that's okay. I'm flattered that they've followed some of my lead there, and I didn't do anything fancy. I was so low budget in the beginning, and I still am. But I'm picking up a little bit of my game this last year and a half with the microphones and the audio interface and all that, and a little bit better lighting, even though it's not going to ever be perfect because it's not what matters to me. Just as long as it's passable and people are okay with it. But one of the things is that they went above and beyond certain aspects and were animated and they're doing these different things and they're uploading daily, sometimes 3 times a day in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they're the algorithm, or I don't know. Sometimes I think maybe a little payola helped a little bit to get those numbers up,
yeah,
but and then they get to the height, and now they're still they're having to chase that all the time to keep that up. They're like, oh, I got to keep going, and I always knew, maybe it was my age getting into it. I always knew if I wasn't walking down that hill instead of running down it, that I'm never going to catch up. I'm never going to be able to keep a pace up. And I've never set a to my audience like you're going to get an interview once a week or twice a week. I upload when I upload, and I know that's kind of hurt my algorithm, but at the same time, it's who I am, and it's what fits what I need as a creator and as a person. So I really do appreciate what you're saying. There is like, hey, I'm weighing my things, and that's not me. I'm not going to do that. But and I sometimes think the gurus are selling us a bill of goods.
No, absolutely. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, stay true to yourself at the end of the day, right?
yeah,
Like, I, 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 I think it's cool you have a dog podcast because I didn't even know that was such a thing until you reached out. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, love dogs.
yeah. Yeah, the dog world is there's a lot of inner workings with it, especially when you're talking about entering more of the business side of it, when you're breeding and learning about genetics. So it's kind of a combination of science and business and then everything in between. So and then you get run into characters that will remind you a little bit more of the was it the Tiger King or whatever, and then
Yeah,
we all honestly I catch myself, we're all a little, I talk to people and we're all a little off, us dog enthusiasts, and I know I am. Like, there are certain things that people look at me like, you got to get home because you got you got times that you got to feed your dog. I mean, it's a dog, right? And like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And I catch myself. I'm like, I guess
Then a great excuse as an introvert because it's like, oh, I gotta go home. My dog.
yeah, I use it a lot, honestly, even for work. It's like my business. It's my business because I have a couple of dogs that are breeding
Oh yeah.
stud dogs. So I'm like, I got to get busy. These are dogs. And it's my business. It's not just the pet, but yeah, it definitely definitely a good excuse at times. Uh, Quickly, gear talk. I love gear. So the camera that you use, what is it?
For these videos, I use the Canon EOS R. That was my first mirrorless camera, and it's just the one that stays on this tripod all the time, unless I'm doing a wedding photo shoot or a concert where I need two cameras. Because my main camera is the Canon R5. That's the camera that goes out with me. I take that photos, videos, whatever. Um, but when you're doing event photography, whether it be weddings, concerts, anything like that, where you need to have basically one camera with a like a telephoto and one camera with a wide, so that you can get all the shots. You're always having two. Then I take this camera down, but yeah, the EOS R is what I use. And then I just changed lenses recently. I was using the 35 millimeter macro, which is really good for products like doing like showing them off and stuff because you can get really close. But I switched to the 16 millimeter, and I'm now in 4K with the cheat code of using the stabilization because it crops it in slightly so I can get 4K video but zoomed in more so that I can get exactly the amount of playmat I want to be able to get for my video and show off the entire product while still being able to show the product pretty close up. So yeah, that's what I'm using there. And then I have a Rode Video Mic Go 2 that I leave just right here. Um, and that just goes straight into the camera, and then I edit the audio there. I used to use a Zoom H5 to record audio, but effort. I need to make this as easy as possible, and so recording directly to the camera and then touching it up in post is just way easier, especially once I have a preset and click and drag.
Yeah, I like Rode products. I have the Rode Wireless Me that I use every once in a
Those are
while.
good.
If I'm not going to be in our little makeshift office, my wife uses this as her closet slash real estate. She's a full time. She works. She's a full time civil servant, and she's a full time real estate agent. And then so she
Nice.
uses. I've got this little divider back here, where her on the other side is her desk and her computer and all that stuff that she uses for her business. So yeah, so if I don't have access to this, I'll use the Rode Wireless Me, and I really kind of like fallen in love with Rode products. I had an opportunity to test Rode mic, and I was like, yeah, this is good sound. So that was probably going to be my next purchase. I don't know if I could mount that microphone on my computer, if that would work, if that would get enough sound.
Yeah, I mean, because like there's a couple ways you can go about it. Is because like if you could do like the microphones that you have to have close to your face, and that makes it so you get less background noise, which is great for podcasts and stuff. But I use the video mic go to is kind of like a shotgun mic, so it
Mm.
captures a little more wide, so I don't have to be directly talking into the microphone. I can be moving my head around a little more. Um, and then it's mounted. I mean, I would say it's mounted basically distance away from like a computer screen. So
Mm.
if you could easily mount this on top of a computer and it would produce good audio with, a little bit of whatever in post.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
USB-C. So you can USB-C this one too.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I do have again, I was this was $100 mic, and it I think it came down in price this last 6 7 months, and so I was like, the sound is just too good for me not
Oh yeah.
to buy it, but it's not the most practical. So I have a USB C mic, a Fi Fine mic is the Chinese, the Chi Fi basically microphone that works really good. I mean, for the price, and it's the noise cancellation is really good. It is a dynamic mic, so yeah, it works that way. But I just like Rode products because they're very they just work really well, and the sound quality is bar none in a lot of ways, in my opinion. But
Yeah, they come
um,
off as almost like a warm neutral. Their
yeah,
mics. It gives like male vocals have a nice tone to them. I like
yeah,
Rode mics.
yep, yep, I agree. iPhone or Android? I would probably already know the answer, but
I'm an iPhone guy. I'm an Apple guy all around. I have Androids. I have two Androids, two Androids and one iPhone. So I have more Androids than I have iPhones, and I can't stand Androids. I hate using them. I hate them. The iPhone, I don't know, for whatever reason, it's just everything is so much smoother. I have an iPad. I have an iMac, a MacBook Pro, an old MacBook Pro. It's 2019 or whatever. It's old enough. It's Intel. It doubles as a space heater. But it works, and just that seamless transition of being able to like screen something on my like when I'm editing the video and I need the frequency response graph, screenshot, airdrop, drag, so smooth. Um, and then like yeah, just being able to like go between products so easily. AirPlay is like a must. So my speaker setup had to have AirPlay, and my headphones are AirPlay. And then my IEMs, I just use an Apple dongle. Like I'm full Apple basically. Nothing against PC, nothing against Android. I just the user interface is not it for me. I don't care about customizability. I care about functionality. I don't want to have to think about my products.
I see that a lot with people like my wife, who isn't tech savvy and doesn't really just wants things to work, and then people like yourself who are creatives. You want things to be seamless, and you want things to be at a certain quality. And Android's just kind of all over the place, is what I've noticed. And if I had my way, I'd rock two phones, because I still kind of want to be in the Android world, because I'm hoping that eventually that there'll be some quality competition. I see the Pixels and the Galaxy phone getting close to that, but they just don't have that ecosystem yet. But I
Yeah.
would definitely, because I'm a junkie when it comes to technology, even though that I'm not like super knowledgeable, I still love using it, and I would rock two phones, and the Android would be my backup.
I rocked
But
2 for a long time, and it was just recently that I went down to 1 because I'm like, yeah, honestly, like, because like the last job I worked, I needed to have Android and Apple just because I was crossing different things and different. It was like all tech based. But with my current job, I don't need to have both, so I'm not going to carry both. And I like Apple. I like my iPhone. And when it comes down to even if Android made a phone good enough, like they do make phones good enough. If I'm being honest, they 100% make phones that are good enough. It's just Air AirDrop has become so important to me. I can't kind of leave the iPhone and Mac interface. Like it's the way that the iPhone and the Mac communicate. I'm stuck in this ecosystem forever. Like I can't get out.
yeah, yeah.
I was really tempted with the iPhone 15 when it was announced because the video, like, so you could record log video, so awesome dynamic range, like good stuff, and then record it direct to a hard drive with USB-C. I was like, oh man, like that is actually like it's getting to like the point where you can professionally make movies with iPhones. Like it's getting there. I think people have made full length good movies with iPhones. So like yeah, like I tell people all the time because people ask me like, how do you start with YouTube? Like whatever, like what camera do I get? What I'm like, your phone is like way better than what most people have ever started with. So like the phone is like it is professional at this point. People are doing professional work with phones and it's good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Two more questions and that's it. One is uh, um, the best IEM um, under $100 that you would suggest a newbie
Under a
get into,
hundred.
like just like the one that you could pop into your ear and you'd be okay with.
Uh that's one of those things where me personally, if I could
Mm-hmm.
do this hobby all over again, I would have just bought the QKZ HBB, the original, the $20 QKZ HBB. It's only $20, and I would have not bought in anything else, and I would have saved my money, and I would have bought the Meteor. That's how I would have done it if I could do it all over again. That said, I don't think that's the right advice for most people. I think
Right.
most people should get the Hexa.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
like, that's one of those. I'm a class 2 listener. I like more bass, and not everyone can handle the amount of bass I enjoy.
Great. Yeah. Good answer. I like that. Yeah. I haven't gotten the Hexa yet, but maybe I should.
When it's like,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, it's a good listen overall for $80. Like, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. It's like, yeah, that's better sound wise. Like, I correct the polarity, and the Hexa is great.
awesome. Where do you see the future for your channel and what is there anything that you know yeah, just where do you see your future?
Uh, well, I mean, I'm gonna keep on reviewing whatever gets sent to me. That I've been becoming a little more picky with what I'm reviewing because um, I don't know. Sometimes you get inundated, and when products don't excite me, it makes it hard to want to do the thing. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna I'm gonna keep on reviewing, of course, and doing that, but I do want to start doing occasional lives where I do it with friends in the hobby and stuff, and we talk about things and whatever. So I want to start doing some lives. I keep saying it, I never have, but lives are one of those things where, yeah, you like kind of like this podcast because I'm not editing it. I can just like you just hit play, you hit go, and you get to go, right? Um, but yeah, I don't know. I hope to just kind of keep trucking along, get access to the gear that I want to listen to, and try new things because novelty is, I don't know. I enjoy novelty. So anytime something kind of new and exciting is out, as long as it's good, um, it's it gives me joy to try those things. And even if it's just borrowing it with my friend who lends me stuff and whatever. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like I don't really have huge dreams or aspirations. Like I don't really want to. Like I'm not someone who's like, oh, I want a collab. I don't want an IEM collab unless a company can make the Symphonium Meteor for under $200. I don't I don't care. Like I have my perfect IEM already. I wouldn't mind collabing on a cable because sorry, one sec. There's a cable I wanted to make that is essentially kind of like the interchangeable cable. You get interchangeable terminations with the 3.5, the 4.4, the 2.5. I want to do that, but with 3.5 only, and each termination is a different impedance that changes the tuning of IEMs with different impedance curves. SimGot has an IEM that has that cable, but I'm not buying a over $200 IEM just for a cable I want. So like I would love to collab with a company to make a cable. Funny enough, not an IEM. But yeah, like I don't really have any big dreams or goals. Like yeah, like some guys like it's about like I want to have all these subscribers. I want to make these collabs, and I don't really care about collabs. I don't really care. Like the subscribers are nice, I guess, and it's nice to make some money from YouTube. Pays for the hobby, not really. There's so much more I want to buy too. Like I want to buy like an actual over ear measurement rig, and just don't have the money for it right now. But um, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's what it would be. Is in the future, I want to buy an over ear measurement rig, and I want to do more over ear content. And it would be nice to buy a like a room speaker mic. I would not be able to afford one of the nice measurement rigs because those things are way too expensive for speakers. But um, I would like to be able to invest more into being able to do more than just IEMs, right? I still review headphones, but I can't measure the headphones I get in. I can't. All I can do is point to someone else's graph. I can't, give you the measure of my personal unit, which I think is important when you're reviewing. You know, uh, it's like because what if it's unit variation and that person graphed it, it looks like that, but this unit doesn't sound like that. So um, yeah, I want to invest in that stuff and grow in my experience and um, knowledge with audio, all that stuff. But yeah, I'm just kind of taking it one day at a time and enjoying trying new products. That's kind of why I got into it in the first place. Is I like trying new things, and that's why I keep doing it.
Well, I'm glad you do because I'm a fan of watching you try new things. Because like I said, my budget is pretty limited,
Yeah,
so it just being able to listen, it kind of scratches that itch a little bit and see your passion come through on the screen. So big fan, and I'm glad that things are. Um, you do see that there's still a future in YouTube and for selfish reasons because I still want to watch your videos and
I don't know if it'll show up, but my dogs.
oh yeah, you got was it a lab and a rotty mix
Yeah,
or rot?
he's He's lab crossed with they told us American Bulldog. We have no idea. We didn't DNA test him yet. And then this guy, and he's like 120 pounds,
Okay, so he's
and just
probably
pure muscle. And then the other guy is a full on mutt. He has a little bit of Shinu in, Eva Shinu in there or whatever.
uh-huh.
Um, and he just has a ton of breeds in him. He's total mutt. But
Right, right.
yeah,
Good looking dogs there. Yeah.
they're good dogs.
How big is the multi the mutt?
Yeah, he's 60 pounds.
60,
So yeah, and then Cole's like, yeah, 120. So
120. So yeah, he's definitely got some American Bulldog or maybe some. Yeah.
yeah,
Do you do you think you'll embark test them or was there DNA?
we've been thinking about it. Wife and I have both been like, oh, we should just do it because we want to know. We know he's lab because he acts like a lab, but that's as far as like he's definitely not a lab when he smiles. Like he looks like a pity when he smiles, or like almost
Mhm.
Rottweiler like or something. Yeah, like
Yeah,
has that square face.
yeah. It's really cool when you get the results. Y- uh, they can decipher a lot of things, and it'd be interesting to see with the breeds, and they'll give you even like I always say do embark first
Hmm.
instead of wisdom paddle, but it doesn't matter. Give you percentages, and if you do the full on, it will actually do a health screen too.
Oh,
It can give you if it's if he has any predispositions, certain illnesses or anything like that. But yeah, it's an interesting thing when you get into the breeding side of things. It's kind of mandatory, especially when you're dealing with bull breeds like my little French bulldogs here, that you
yeah,
do kind of do a health screen, not only a color code screen, but a health screen. And so, yeah, it's interesting that they can decipher just that from like a DNA type test.
crazy. Yeah, I want to do it. I want to do it for myself too, but then I also don't want to give my DNA to some random company. I'll give my dog's DNA to some random company, but
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I do too. I mean, the more that I study my own DNA, like I'm Irish German, and both my parents are first generation Americans, but it's that there's been intermingling through time and history. So every Irishman has Norse blood, or like my grandmother was almost looks Spanish or Italian, and my dad did too, especially in the summer. And that's what you call Black Irish because they came from their roots came from Southern Ireland and a lot of Spanish roots. The Spaniards invaded back in the day, so you know I'd like to see if any of that shows up on a DNA test.
yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know. I hear stories, right? We know, well, we think we know. Irish and Scottish is in there. And then I get my darker skin tones and hair and everything from being part Chinese. Um, but I mean, I don't know. I'm way darker than any other Chinese person I meet locally, so I don't know.
Given your DNA, especially when you find out who's behind that stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I hear stories of them selling it to insurance companies or whatnot. And like,
Oh God,
but like I would love to know if what if is like Genghis Khan in my lineage or something crazy, right? Like you
yeah,
hear those stories and it'd be cool to know, but
yeah.
uh
And
sketchy.
yeah, I hear you. Well, thanks for putting up with my rambling and the time that I took from you, but I really appreciate you doing this. And um, I'll reach out back in 6 months or so, and we'll do a part two, hopefully. But I
Yeah,
really appreciate it, and big fan, and uh, yeah, that's about it. Thank you for doing it.
yeah. Appreciate you reaching out.